The Nasdaq's newest stock is called SWMR, a drone brand up 1,100% in 2 days since its IPO.
Because SWMR is the sole bachelor on an island of hungry bachelorettes.
That's right, we connected drones with reality TV, and we'll get there in a moment. But in the meantime, Yetis, people like to say that a viral stock is going to the moon. Well, this one is going to Mars.
Because an IPO happened this week from the company SWMR. They priced their stock at $5 per share, but it closed day one at $31 per share.
Impressive.
It closed day two at $55 per share.
Sit down, stand up, and buzz again. What's going on, Jack?
It's up over 1,100% in 2 days.
It's on pace for the best rookie year for a stock since Ichiro.
Wow. Good baseball knowledge there, Nick.
I do what I can, Jack. I do what I can.
No, we've covered hundreds of IPOs on this podcast.
Maybe thousands.
But SWMR's IPO is the most unusual one for several different reasons.
That's right. We jumped the T-Boy style to the IPO paperwork and noticed they mentioned the word Ukraine 52 times.
Because the company is only 33 months old.
That's it.
It was founded for the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, and interestingly, Ukraine is their one and only proof of concept for the business.
The website's testimonial is from Ukraine's Minister of Defense because they used their software.
You know, Anthropic has reservations about fully autonomous drones used in warfare. Well, SWMR, they don't.
SWMR says that one pilot can control dozens or hundreds of drones to attack the enemy using their drone software.
They swarm. Sounds brutal? Well, their chairman happens to be the founder of Blackwater, the for-profit private military force you may remember from the Iraq War.
And his software will help the military swarm the enemy with an overwhelming force of drones that cannot be shot down.
Now, SWMR mentions they're an Austin-based company, but we should point out 44 of their 49 full-time employees are fighting the war right now over in Kyiv for independent Ukraine.
Yeah, SWMR's helping the good guys, and I really hope it stays that way.
But Jack, let's sprinkle on a little bit more context here, if you please.
In recent years, we've seen wars in Ukraine, Gaza, Iran, and more. There's a huge market for military drones that has emerged.
We've covered tank stocks, fighter jet stocks. The military industry is having its best year since Alexander the Great invaded Egypt.
But the price that this stock is trading at is absolutely insane.
I mean, the math ain't math and the numbers are like noodling us here. What are we seeing, man?
SWMR claims that they have $30 million of revenue in the pipeline, but their actual sales were just $300,000 last year.
Okay, SWMR's profit, negative $5 million. How is that possible exactly, Jack?
That means that they spent $16 last year for each $1 they made of sales.
And yet, this company, based on its $55 stock price, is now worth $700 million. That's a big difference.
Nick, this podcast makes more revenue than SWMR does.
Yeah.
But this podcast is worth $700 million.
Yet, besties, this company, it is so unprofitable that they're required by law to say this in the IPO paperwork. Also something you don't usually see.
They're required to say that they might go bankrupt before the year ends.
And this is what we find fascinating. Despite all of that, none of it is stopping retail investors from pouring moolah into SWMR's drone stock. So Jack, what's the takeaway for this curious case of a 1,000% up stock known as SWMR?
If you're the lone bachelor, you're the most popular guy in town.
Oh, we told you we'd bring it back, Yetis. You see, there are very few stock market opportunities to invest in drone companies. Very few.
China's DJI owns 70% of the world's drone market, but DJI is blacklisted in the US.
And the big military defense companies, yeah, they make drones, but drones are just a tiny part of their business.
Only SWMR and a couple other small companies have publicly traded stocks focused 100% on drones.
So here's what happened. When SWMR IPO'd this week, the stock market group chats and the subreddits blew up in interest.
And it appears SWMR rushed to IPO based on their financials to tap into the huge retail investor demand for drone stocks.
Basically, SWMR's valuation is less about the business. It's more about the limited number of drone stocks on the market.
But when drone competition eventually arrives on the stock market, there's a good chance SWMR stock falls.
Because, besties, the Bachelor looks less hot once the other bachelors arrive on the island.